John Calipari made some public comments about name, image, and likeness this week. I gather some Kentucky fans are growing a little restless because the Wildcats, A, were terrible 2 years ago. B, were upset by St. Peter's in the first round of the NCAA tournament earlier this year. C, are getting out-recruited by Duke, both in class of 2022 and 23. And D, just lost assistant Jay Lucas to John Shire's Blue Devils. And so I guess John felt compelled to address how UK is handling name, image, and likeness opportunities after a staff member, TJ Beisner, tweeted that, quote, Kentucky's program has and continues to be ahead of everyone else. John subsequently added, I pushed for NIL for 10 years publicly, and no one is more supportive, which is why our players are making more money than anyone the right way. NIL won't hurt us. It hasn't for any kid we've really wanted. If NCAA or federal government makes changes, we'll adapt and continue to lead. What'd you make of what John Calipari said?
Well, it's notable because this all ties to Baylor Shireman, who's going to Creighton. We'll talk about that angle of it in a second here because GP's got an update to his top 25-1. Creighton obviously getting bumped up with all of that. It's just notable because Cal is speaking to this, and then Beisner, who's the head of the player development there, actually used to host I assume you went on it as well. Used to host a TV show in Kentucky. He actually was doing trivia time with me before we might have even been doing it on the podcast there. But Beisner's done an amazing job for himself there and has really helped that program a lot behind the scenes. And I appreciated TJ actually tweeting what he did and bringing some, I don't know, some transparency, I guess, to what Kentucky's going through. Because right now, Kentucky fans, well, a lot of this just ties to Shireman, and then they got out of the deal with all that because the deal with Shireman was, yeah, some of it was fit, but there was,
I had a power conference coach tell me that they made a call on Baylor Shireman. Just, hey, can we get in here? What's it look like? And they were told basically the starting offer, this coach told me, was more money, disguised as name, image, and likeness rights opportunities. It was more money than anybody in their current locker room is making, and not even close. And they just decided we're not getting involved in this.
Would be accurate. Baylor Shireman, if his NIL deals come to fruition at Creighton, could well be among the more highly compensated players next year in college sports, which also, by the way, tied to all this whole thing, Dennis Dodd had a story, Sports Illustrated story this week. Dennis Dodd had a story at CBSSports.com on Wednesday that said, hold on, let me get this here. Okay, this is from Dodd. This ties to what Cal's talking about too. Within the coming weeks, the NCAA plans to crack down on boosters who are funding name, image, and likeness payments to athletes. Hold on, I think I got something for that. Payments the association says are violations of long-standing NCAA rules. NCAA Councilman Shane Lyons told CBS Sports the association's ruling body is motivated to push back against what is becoming a burgeoning scandal disguised for as pay for playing college athletics. Here's the Lyons quote. He goes, how are they having conversations with athletes? They're boosters. We've never let boosters be involved in the recruiting process. Hold on. Where did it go off the tracks? The collectives are boosters. Yeah, that's right. NIL collectives are a huge deal here. And
these guys, what's the famous movie quote? You know what the boosters are saying right now?
Is what I tweeted out yesterday? I can't believe there's gambling going on in this establishment. Is that what you're referring to?
No. But so it's we've never let boosters be involved in recruiting. Well, guess what? You're not in charge now. The quote is what? I'm the captain now.
Oh yeah, look at me. I'm the captain now.
That's what the boosters are saying.
Yeah.
That's
trivia time. What's the movie?
Oh, it's Tom Hanks.
Captain is in the title.
Yeah, Captain America. Tom Hanks is Captain America. I've never actually seen the movie.
It's Captain Phillips. It's not bad.
It's Captain Gump. I think it was Captain Gump.
Captain Phillips is the movie, although Tom Hanks as Captain America is certainly quite the image there. This whole thing is absurd. I'm not even going to get off the NIL track or get onto the NIL track again with this, but it is a major story in that the NCAA is this week looking into it's due soon to try and redefine how it's going to get NIL under control by outlawing collectives. That stands to potentially go to court, get shot down again, and be another huge L for the NCAA. We'll wait and see on all that stuff. But this is become the big issue here because when stuff like Nigel Pack happens and you've got the player from Jordan Addison that's going into the transfer portal if he winds up at USC, et cetera, whatever. What Cal was speaking to was this very issue where he's saying, we're not paying players to come to Kentucky. We're not gonna promise a dime if you come here. And he's saying this because technically that is the rule.
No, technically that's the law too.
Yes, exactly. So I understand why he's saying that, but it comes at a time where Kentucky fans are, and you touched on this on the pod once or twice in March, specifically, after Kentucky loses to St. Peter's, that fan base has reached a point of frustration with John Calipari that had been building and has reached, I'm not going to say a boiling point. A boiling point would be if we looked up in mid-January and Kentucky wasn't in the NCAA tournament picture. Then it would be a boiling point. It hasn't gotten to that stage, but there's real concern over, what other recruits are we bringing in here? How are we keeping up? Why is Cal even saying this when we all know what's actually, I think Kentucky fans are more like, we're Kentucky. We invented cheating. What are we doing here? Like, why are you saying this? Like, if you want to believe it, don't say it out loud. We are Kentucky. This is what we've done forever. So why are we going to suddenly start losing in the arms race where Cal, from a public perception, is saying, I'm not concerned. He also did the Cal thing where he covers for it. You're an expert in this, where he's like, we haven't lost on anyone that we really wanted. Sure, man.
That's the same thing as Jay Lucas left us for a promotion. Like, what was the promotion?
I know.
He just, like, we could call it what it is. He left for Duke.
Yes.
He decided he might have got more money, but it's not obviously a promotion. It's not like he went from the third assistant at Kentucky to the associate head coach at Duke. He left a job as an assistant at Kentucky to be an assistant at Duke. Period. It's not common to call that a quote promotion, but to your point, he needed to, that word promotion was so deliberately in that tweet because he could not bring himself to just acknowledge Jay Lucas just decided he'd rather work for John Shire at Duke than for me at Kentucky. He had to say, but because what promotion implies is they were giving him an opportunity that I was unwilling to give him. So he took the promotion. And I guess technically that might be true, but more than anything, Jay just decided he'd rather work at Duke than work at Kentucky, which is fine.
That's fine. It's adding to the consternation here because Lucas is he was at Texas, then he went to Kentucky, and now he's going to Duke, where Duke is just killing it on the recruiting trail. I mean, John Shire is recruiting at a level that K at his best basically couldn't even imagine. In fact, I think statistically, if you look at it right now, Duke's back-to-back classes are the best two by aggregate I think that they've ever had there. So it's just absurd. So this is adding. It's Kentucky, right? The two most.
On that point, like if you look at the class of 2022 player rankings right now, Duke has the number 1, number 2, and number 3 players in the class according to 24/7 Sports. I mean, that's wild.
That's outrageous. So, that's like, come on now. So that's just adding to what Kentucky fans are talking about here. You don't get Shireman, which isn't the end of the world, but he's a really good shooter, a really good player, and Kentucky would it have been better if Shireman was on the roster, of course. But they didn't get him, and then they lose Lucas to Duke, and that's a significant deal here. And so Cal knows that the fan base is. It's weird. Like they're a little bit on edge, and at the same time, oh, by the way, you've got the best player returning in the sport.
That's the other thing. They're a preseason top 5 team.
It never happens. You almost never have the reigning national player of the year come back to college. Kentucky will have that. Kentucky will be fine. Parrish, where are they ranked right now in your rankings?
Yeah, I have them 5th. I mean, that's the other thing. Like Kentucky fans are all in a, and whatever. I'm out of the business of telling fans how to feel. But they do have a preseason top 5 team with the preseason national player of the year and reigning national player of the year on the roster. And they're bringing in a not Duke's class, but a good class, highlighted by Kasem Wallace, who is obviously terrific. Kentucky's going to be very, very good, or at least they should be. If they're not, that's when John Calipari is going to have real problems. The real problems aren't losing Keon Brooks to the transfer portal or Jay Lucas to Duke or whatever. The real problem will be if this team does not, A, perform terrifically during the season, and B, advance in that bracket pretty deep. That's when everything will be taken up to another level. But I don't think there's any doubt on some level that John is aware of the restlessness within the fan base because they let him know on social media every single day. And I'm certain he would say, I don't see any of that, but I'm certain I don't know that I would believe it.
Yeah, and listen, fan base gonna fan base. I get all that. It makes for some intrigue. TJ's little tweet thread, back on Tuesday did stand out to me. And Kentucky's not going to be hurting for talent. That's just never going to happen, particularly in the NIL era. It's not going to happen. I think we just hit this weird phase here where they lose a really good assistant. They don't get a player that by some is considered, one of the 5 best on the transfer market, wasn't even in, his top 5, wasn't even in consideration to go to Kentucky. And because of that, and then everything that happened last year, like, whatever, I get it. So